The White House Chief of Staff John Kelly has made a lot of changes to the White House, limiting the kinds of information that reach the president, as well as restricting access to many of the more controversial advisors. Now, one of those advisors is former Apprentice co-star Omarosa Manigault. Now, the Daily Beast writes that Manigualt, who currently serves as a communications director for the Office of Public Liaison, has seen her direct access to the president limited since Kelly took the top White House job in late July. Sources tell the Daily Beast. In particular, Kelly has taken steps to prevent her and other senior staffers from getting unvetted, and this is important, news articles on the president's Resolute desk. Now, that includes things like Daily Caller, Breitbart, and other publications that are even sketchier than those. Now, that, they say, is a key method for influencing the president's thinking. God forbid. And one that Manigualt used, apparently to rile up the president about internal White House drama. Oh, there's drama in the White House. Of course there's drama in the White House. Now, multiple sources in and outside the Trump White House told the Daily Beast that until recently, it was common practice for aides to slide into the Oval Office and distract and infuriate the president with pieces of negative news coverage. Manigualt, they say, was one of the worst offenders. When General Kelly is talking about clamping down on access to the Oval, she's patient zero, according to a source close to the Trump administration. Now, so look, Kelly, he's going after her, but why her specifically? I mean, well, let me show you the types of stories that she would bring in. White House sources tell the Daily Beast that the stories that Manigualt would present to Trump, often on a phone or printed out, would often enrage the president and resulted in him spending at least the rest of the day fuming about it. One example, the one White House source noted that Manigualt was one of the people who would bring to President Trump's attention online articles concerning MSNBC hosts and former Trump friends Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski, slagging him and his administration. This contributed, of course, at least in small part, to the president's mounting rage against the MSNBC couple, which exploded in late June when Trump attacked them and tweeted, among other things, that Brzezinski was bleeding badly from a facelift. That's ridiculous. That never happened. And my God, if there was somebody who was bleeding from a facelift, you wouldn't say, no, you can't be in my golf club. You would call them a fucking ambulance. At least if you're a decent human being. Now, this is ridiculous, right? Now, Manigualt had also earned a reputation within the White House for this kind of thing, for bringing the president articles that he would get pissed off about and then end up with going on 3 a.m. tweet storms. Now, and to many of her colleagues, it quickly overshadowed her communications duties and pro-Trump outreach to African-American audiences. Are you kidding me? She was in charge of pro-Trump outreach to African-Americans. Yeah, good job. Way to go. They actually thought they were there for her job? Come on, man. What job is Omarosa qualified to? Oh, no, she's African-American outreach. Why? Because she's black? That's a little racist, don't you think? But no, seriously, her running the communications department, liaison, whatever, and being in charge of African-American outreach, that's sort of like me putting me in as a White House strategist. I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Neither does she, okay? But at least I could admit it. All she did was find shitty articles about the president and bring him in there just to piss him off. Now, Kelly, of course, is not thrilled by her, according to a West Wing official. He is, however, thrilled that he has been able to stop staffers, including Omarosa, from bolting into the Oval Office and triggering the president with White House palace intrigue stories. Now, that's interesting phrasing. I didn't use it. The Daily Beast didn't use it. This was a White House staffer. And again, very, very interesting. Triggered. It's almost like the president is being referred to as some sort of snowflake. Interesting. Now, that, I think, happens to be 100% true because John Kelly is literally creating a safe space around the president because he cannot handle criticism. He melts down like a goddamn snowflake. Fucking hilarious. If it weren't so sad. Now, as I said before, the first thing that Kelly tried to do was try to limit and vet information that aides put in front of him. And he also made it very difficult for you to see the president. Now, this free flow of information and casual pop-ins had become a means for officials to enlist the president in their preferred policy initiatives, damage the standing of White House rivals in the president's eyes, or nudge Trump towards a particular attitude or mood. So, the thing is that Trump doesn't seem to think for himself. He gets his news from Fox News, he gets it from Breitbart, and he goes and he retweets things that he saw on Fox and Friends, or that he saw in conservative media, and he gets mad about it, and he tweets about MSNBC. This man has he doesn't think for himself, which is amazing. So, it's almost like George W. Bush, where you had to be the last person in the room in order to influence him. And that's what's going on here. Now, again, very, very interesting how you could nudge the president towards a certain mood. And, of course, all Omarosa did was nudge him towards rage. And it worked very, very well. Of particular concern for Kelly were stories from conspiratorial right-wing websites that occasionally whipped Trump into a frenzy over issues such as the White Wing's press leak problem. In Manigualt's case, sources said the stories generally originated at more obscure, gossipy websites and concerned White House palace intrigue, media personalities, or prominent Republicans in Congress. So all the bullshit that we see, or at least I'd say 90% of it, is probably from Omarosa going, "Hey, Trump, look at this. Look at this shitty article about you that I found from World Star, Shit Daily." I don't know if that's a real site. Couldn't think of something that fast. But some obscure, gossipy right-wing website, like, "Oh, look at this thing from InfoWars. Oh, get mad about it. Oh, I'm so pissed. I'm going to tweet about it for the next day and a half." All that stuff, that's her. Now, look, Trump, it's not like Trump isn't at fault. This is not all Omarosa's fault, of course. She's just doing what Trump loves. Trump loves gossip. He's always loved gossip, right? That's his bread and butter. He loves that shit. He eats it up with a spoon, okay? And look, it's because he partly believes it, and he's actually been part of these gossip magazines. He loves these things. I mean, look, he's used tabloids before to gin up controversy about himself. I mean, anybody remember John Barron? That's the alter ego that he would use to call up tabloids to talk about himself. And the funny thing is, I think they all knew in the end that it was Trump. But as I said before, he's not very smart. He's not very sophisticated. So Omarosa brings him this stuff because she knows he likes it. That gets her in his good graces. But since Kelly instituted these new rules that Trump's apparently having a big problem with, Omarosa's capacity to influence her boss has taken a big hit. And boy, is she not happy about it. According to one White House source, they said, quote, "She has a bond that goes back years with Trump and resents being cut off like everyone else has." Now, it has to be noted that he can't cut off all access to these people. Trump still uses his private cell phone to talk with people like Roger Stone, Steve Bannon, and Omarosa, among many others, right? Kelly can't control what he does on off hours, or else he would probably stop watching Fox and Friends all fucking day. Don't do that. That's a ridiculous source of information. So, look, she's still got access, and that's bad for Kelly. Super bad news. Now, as evidenced by the fact that Omarosa and others also managed to convince Trump to fire Reince Priebus, who was attempting to also bring order to the White House, although, again, he was pretty fucking terrible at it. In fact, two sources told the Daily Beast that during the earliest days of the Trump White House's brief Anthony Scaramucci era, which lasted a total of 10 fucking days, Manigault was among the several Trump allies who sent in a list. Yet another one of her lists, as she is famous for making enemies lists, apparently, of people she thought Trump should fire. Her list, of course, skewed heavily towards establishment Republicans. Priebus was among one of the RNC guys on that list, according to a source with direct knowledge. So the question is here, who's going to win out? Trump's buddies or a stable work environment? Now look, Trump, admittedly, he's like, oh, I kind of like this. I have time to think. I have room to think, right? So in the short term, yeah. But as I said before, long term, Trump is a chaos agent. Okay, and I know that sounds crazy, but he is an agent of chaos. He thrives in conflict, and look, he loves it. Even when the White House is burning around him, he loves the intrigue. This is fun for him. Okay, Omarosa, Bannon, Stone, and Trump, they all represent the forces of entropy and destruction. And in the end, look, entropy always wins. That's why he was voted into the White House, to tear down the establishment, to tear down the established order. And by being so reckless, and not only that, but incompetent in a way, or in many ways, he's achieving just that. He's tearing everything down. So it's just a matter of time, I think, before that wins out, before chaos triumphs over order in this Trump White House, and it reverts back to what it was before, which was a complete fucking disaster. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.